Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Meaningful Motivations with Tracy Erickson. And of course, if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy Erickson, and in this episode of Halloween Spooktacular, we are going to be diving into the darker side of spiritual meanings. And we're going to look at the spiritual meaning of repulsive, poisonous, and nocturnal animals and insects. So stay tuned. I like to think of nature as like the consciousness of the world made manifest. Studying the habits of insects and animals that you experience in your day-to-day life, as well as during your dream time, can really be revealing about the state of your own consciousness. So similar to dream interpretation, when you are considering the things of nature in terms of a spiritual message for yourself, then you have to realize that every dream is about the dreamer, and therefore every symbol is about the one who sees the symbol. In The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, it says, beautiful, symmetrical forms were assigned to all natural benevolent conditions or powers, but to unnatural or malevolent powers were assigned contorted and abnormal figures. The evil one was either hideously deformed or else of the nature of certain despised animals. Insects of all kinds have been symbolized all over the world as both nature spirits as well as demons, because it's also believed that both of these things actually do inhabit the atmosphere. Poisonous insects can symbolize the deadly power of the human tongue, while other insects that hide in darkness can symbolize the secret wisdom that is being concealed by ignorance. And in The Secret Teachings of All Ages, Manly P. Hall also says, some ancient schools of wisdom taught that all poisonous insects and reptiles are germinated out of the evil nature of man, and that when intelligent human beings no longer breed hate in their own souls, there will be no more ferocious animals, loathsome diseases, or poisonous plants and insects. Perhaps if all of these creepy, crawling, disgusting things are actually germinated from the evil nature of man, maybe it's time for us to pay attention. Light is your awareness, and darkness is ignorance. So, as we take a look at the darker meanings of these insects and animals that are just repulsive, poisonous, or nocturnal, I want you to remember that what we're actually doing here is bringing light or your own awareness to the parts of yourself that you've been ignoring, the parts of yourself that hide in the dark corners of your consciousness. The first repulsive animal or insect that I want to talk about today is the fly. I've already created an entire video about the spiritual meaning of the fly that was more of the more optimistic or positive side of the spiritual meaning. But today, we're going to dive into the darker meaning of the fly. The fly is known as the tormentor because of how they torment humans and animals, and flies are relentless. And when I think about it, as flies generally will fly around your head to torment you, it definitely would symbolize the way that your thoughts have been tormenting you. So if you've been experiencing the fly, then that's a message from your higher self or your spirit that it's time to take control of these tormenting thoughts that you've been having. So if you've experienced a whole lot of flies coming into your life, then that could actually be representing just a lot of gossip and buzz surrounding you. So someone out there could be creating the evil eye towards you, or even monitoring spirits based on envy, jealousy, and then gossiping and criticizing about you to other people. So this could be a message that you need to be careful of what you're speaking about and what it is that you're sharing with others. Because many times if we overshare about ourselves and our situation, then that creates envy and jealousy, which turns to the evil eye. The next insect that I want to talk about today is the scorpion. And the scorpion is known as the evil one. And honestly, all you have to do is take a look at a scorpion to know that this is definitely not something good. I recently went to Henderson, Nevada to visit my grandpa. And while I was there, he took me to a show to see an Elvis impersonator. And then when we were on our way back to my grandpa's house after the show, he mentioned that movie. I think it was called like 3,000 Miles to Graceland or 30,000 Miles to Graceland or something like that, about a bunch of Elvis impersonators. So when we got back home, we decided to watch that movie. And at the very beginning of the movie, for the whole opening credits, it's basically two scorpions just going at it to the death. I was definitely into this little scorpion fight. And then in the end, when that little part was over, my grandpa and I looked at each other like, whoa, what was that all about? For some reason, I don't remember specifically what happened, but I do remember that in the movie, the scorpion, one of those two scorpions, ends up coming back into the picture and saving the day after going to see an Elvis impersonator and then watching a movie about Elvis impersonators. I couldn't help but also kind of tie in that impersonator energy to my interpretation of the scorpion. Because the scorpion gives me this energetic vibe that it's all about not really knowing who it is that you can trust. Referring back to the Secret Teachings of All Ages, Manly P. Hall says, the scorpion is the symbol of both wisdom and self-destruction. It was called by the Egyptians the creature accursed. The time of year when the sun entered the sign of Scorpio marked the beginning of the rulership of Typhon. Typhon represents the devil. When the 12 signs of the zodiac were used to represent the 12 apostles, although the reverse is true, the scorpion was assigned to Judas, the betrayer. It also says the scorpion stings with its tail, and for this reason it has been called a backbiter, a false and deceitful thing. While the scorpion can represent wisdom and spiritual fire, it can also be a symbol of deception. So if you've been experiencing the scorpion and have had those lower feelings associated with it, then it's possible that Spirit is giving you a message that it's time to take a look at the people in your life, because you can't always trust people just because they're close to you. The third repulsive animal and sometimes poisonous animal that I want to talk about is the snake. And I absolutely cannot stand snakes. For some reason, they just creep me out. But it's probably because of a nightmare that I still remember to this day that I had back when I was just a young child. In the dream, I was walking on a hill that had tall grass or wheat, and all of a sudden, snakes and spiders started crawling up my legs and eventually covered my entire body until I was rolling down the hill with snakes and spiders all over me. And when I woke up from that dream, my entire body was tingling and covered in the sensation of snakes and spiders. Maybe that's why, but I've never liked snakes or spiders. The serpent is true to the principle of wisdom, for it tempts man to the knowledge of himself. As far as the darker spiritual meaning of the snake, it is clear that snakes crawl upon their bellies. And not only that, but snakes like to live in holes or under rocks or hiding in tall grasses. So many of us have heard that phrase that someone is being like a snake in the grass. It's because it's like something negative is kind of lurking in the background. So in terms of a spiritual message, if you've been experiencing this darker side of the snake energy, then the snake could be asking you to take a look at what possible dangerous habitual thoughts and attitudes you could be hiding within your own consciousness. I've already created videos all about the spiritual meaning of owls and the spiritual meaning of bats. But in this particular video, I wanted to mention these type of nocturnal birds once again, because on top of their more positive spiritual meaning, they also do have a darker, more sinister spiritual meaning. Manly P. Hall stated that nocturnal birds were appropriate symbols of both sorcery and the secret divine sciences. Sorcery because black magic cannot function in the light of truth and is powerful only when surrounded by ignorance. And the divine sciences because those possessing the arcana are able to see through the darkness of ignorance and materiality. Owls and bats were consequently often associated with either witchcraft or wisdom. So owls and bats and other birds of the night could be symbolic of these secret occult teachings and how they have to work under concealment or in darkness rather than in truth or the light of day. If you've been experiencing owls or bats in your experience and seeing them as a message from spirit, then the darker message could be indicating that there are people in your life that don't have your best intentions at heart. There could be deceptions taking place, so whether it's someone lying to you outright or simply omitting the entire truth, there could definitely be some deception taking place. And with animals like the bat that hang upside down, it could also be that this is symbolizing someone who's trying to flip you around on your head or keep you confused at what's truly taking place. So it could be a symbol of being gaslit or manipulated by particular individuals in your life as well. Bringing it back to what was said earlier, and similar to dream interpretation, where every dream is about the dreamer, the same is true with nature. Every symbol or omen that you see in nature is about you. So don't be afraid to take a look and shine a little light into the darker corners of yourself. Let go of the fear and see what you can learn about your own consciousness by taking a look at these darker things. Remember, some ancient schools of wisdom taught that all poisonous insects and reptiles are germinated out of the evil nature of man, and that when intelligent human beings no longer breed hate in their own souls, there will be no more ferocious animals, loathsome diseases, or poisonous plants and insects. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, be sure to click that like button. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe, down below. And once you have subscribed, you can turn on the notifications bell if you would like to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.